I was recommended to watch Legend of Vox Machina by some friends of mine, and after watching this show, I went catatonic from how bad it was. I originally just wanted to forget about this show, but it kept lingering within my mind, and the more people I heard praising this show, the more I wanted to make this video. So, this video has been made because a lot of people think that this show is actually good, and I would like to dispel this myth. Any show should be able to handle its introductory premise, but from the very start there are plot holes. The one I recognised immediately was that the show wants you to believe that an entire empire doesn't have the basic idea of scouting, even though it has spelljammers and or airships. The first 2 episodes wanted its mysterious villain so much, it had to immediately gut a key part of any military: intelligence gathering. It is established early on that a mysterious threat has already defeated at least 3 mercenary groups. We later learn that this mysterious threat was in fact a dragon. This begs the question, how can the dragon maintain its mysterious status for so long, since last time I checked, dragons were not considered stealthy? The dragon's twist is that the Marshal of the Council was a dragon all along. He had manipulated the council from the very start. The dragon's plan hinged on the army of Aemon going to the outskirts, leaving the city open to attack. But instead, he calls for more mercenaries and advises against sending out the army, which he is the marshal of. This is especially strange when you realize that this one decision that contradicts his motives is a direct decision that leads to his downfall. After the first 2 episodes, the rest of the season is no longer the ensemble show that was promised. The focus is now on Percy's journey for revenge. There is also a small side story, but I will talk about that when I get around to characters, as it only matters to Pike. The Briarwood's backstory doesn't make sense. A vampire and a witch were able to hire some assassins to take over a realm within an empire, killing off all the nobility who ruled the area, take over their positions in power, and then rule for 10 odd years with no other surrounding rulers caring or doing anything about it. We are even told that the Emperor has made numerous attempts to contact them, but the Briarwoods have killed or imprisoned anyone who entered their domain, which must include the Taxman. The Briarwoods' rule over Whitestone makes even less sense when you remember that it isn't the only city in the world. In real life, all the nearby rulers would march their armies over to dethrone them and then execute them. When we finally see Whitestone, it is an undead hellhole isolated from the rest of the world. Presumably, this also means there is no trade from a city that would have been trading in the past. To put this in perspective, imagine if China just stopped trading and anyone who tried to contact them was killed not soon after. Yet despite killing anyone who tries to come to Whitestone, Vox Machina are not hindered in the slightest while travelling through the Briarwood's territory. My absolute favourite part is that, like the dragon, if the Briarwoods had not gone out of their way to contradict their ongoing plans, they would have never died. If the Briarwoods never responded to the message they got from the Emperor, which was exactly what they were doing, they would have lived. But the writers demanded the plot to happen, so they had to go against their plans that were going perfectly well so Percy could see them and so the rest of the show could happen. For this next scene, I want you to imagine that you are within the writer's room. You are standing at the whiteboard, listening to the ideas of your colleagues and putting down the best. The script so far was that Percy was about to succumb to his lust for revenge, but at the last moment, he finally overcame his lustfulness. Now you have the last villain still alive. She just slipped away from the hero's grasp, and she begins to monologue about the end of the world. The group has been brainstorming for a while now, and they came up with 3 main ideas that they can't choose between, and it was decided beforehand that you would be the tiebreaker. The 3 ideas you had to choose from are as follows. A. Make Keyleth or Scanline cast a counterspell or a silent spell upon Mandy. Then have Grog tackle her to the ground before making him snap her neck. B. Do the same as A, but instead of Grog killing Daphne, you bring her before the king. Since by his own reckoning she is of nobility, and only he, as her direct superior, has the authority to deal with her. Or C. have Percy's sister, the only other character within Vox Machina's world who should have as much of a lust for revenge as Percy did, be the one to kill Delilah. Delilah will look surprised at finding a sword stuck in her neck, even though she was looking right towards Cassandra when this happens. After Delilah is killed, have Cassandra turn towards Percy and announce to him that he may have forgiven Delilah, but she could not. The writers went with option C, completely contradicting their own message with a single thrust of a sword. I would consider that bad writing. The show ends with the group back in Yemon, the Emperor giving a noble speech about the power of teamwork and friendship. Finally, he ends his speech by declaring that he is stepping down from office and giving his empire over to his council. There is a lot to unpack from this scene, such as the fact that people still believe this show is made for adults and not for children. But let's focus on the Emperor stepping down from his office, coming completely out of nowhere, and just how bad this scene is.
Friends, in recent weeks, Tal'Dorei has been beset by evil, wearing the faces of monsters and men. I relied on my best judgment to meet these threats, but sadly, that judgment was greatly corrupted. The truth is, I allowed strangers into our midst, entrusting them with power they never should have had. Vox Machina saved us from this threat, yet again. They showed me that the wisdom of a group, no matter how unconventional, outweighs that of the individual. There is foresight in friendship. My weakness put the realm in jeopardy, but never again. And so, with humility, I hereby renounce the throne and cede the government to the Council of Tal'Dorei. These wise patriots shall ensure that Iman stands forever.
This is insanity. It would have made more sense if the king stepped down because he was so easily mind controlled and realized that such a monarch should not be in charge of an empire due to fear of jeopardizing future stability. The manner in which the king and the council have transitioned power should qualify as treason, not to the king, but to the people and the lords. This decision comes completely out of nowhere without any rumors or lead up. The show never gave hints that the king would ever step down, nor of the council ever talking to anyone outside of itself and those they wish to elevate to power. For those of you who are unaware, this is how dictatorships happen. Throughout this show, there have been multiple demonstrations of one of my least favourite writing tropes. Withholding important information that would be stated immediately if the situation wasn't being contrived for the plot, with the most egregious case happening in episode 3, where it is clear that Percy hates the Briarwoods, but not a single character pushes Percy to explain why, nor do they decide to even swap seats or evacuate Percy from the tea party. This is because the writers wanted a scene where the Briarwoods find out that Percy is still alive, but had to contrive the scene to happen. Due to the contrivance, the other members of Vox Machina do not ask Percy what's wrong, which makes them seem apathetic and uncaring when the show wants us to like these characters and empathize with them. I do have a lot more to say about the plot of LVM, but I have a lot more to say about other aspects of this show. And this is my first voyage into fully scripted and edited video creation, so I do not wish to overwhelm myself with too much editing, narrating, or script writing, which I have failed to do since I did not like my initial script, narration, or editing. I hope you'll come back for the next chapter in this series, where I will go over the characters within the Legend of Vox Machina in a much deeper manner than the plot. If you have any critiques or advice you would like to give regarding this video, and if you would like to give counterpoints to what I have said, or give further examples of poor craftsmanship, please do leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best.